A lot of people didn't want me to do well, and my job was to do well. Both of us together privately prosecute around the world.
What cars you've got in your collection?
So we've got the Aston Martin OMS edition, Nissan GTR 911 ST.
You possibly have the lowest mileage SV, certainly in the UK.
It was actually a big milestone for me to get that car.
But what you have there is you have a Victoria's Secret model that you can't go anywhere near.
You can only keep one. Which one do you keep?
You don't come across these very often.
The whole Ferrari classics scare me. When the firm started to increase in terms of revenue, bigger client base, the F12 had to go to boost the firm.
What do you think of electric cars?
Some prefer to wear condoms, some don't.
It's a complete con.
And how did you come about to represent Andrew Tate?
Went to go and see the boys,
Yeah.
and the rest is history.
And at any point, did you threaten to sue Lamborghini?
Is there a car that, as a lawyer, you don't want to see one of your clients driving?
Okay.
That's a great question.
It's a really
actually.
good question.
Like a stereotype.
Yeah, like, come
Like,
on.
he's
we're-
guilty.
We're in a case why you're driving that.
C63 Black Edition.
So that's just like, come and arrest me.
Do you know what? If our client turned up in a C63 Black Edition, it just gives me Ali G vibes.
It is a bit of an Asbo car.
Yeah.
You know,
It is. And admittingly, it's a car I actually owned at one point.
Hey, you got to be one to know one.
No,
You know.
there's an evolution with cars. So my brother in particular and Andrew, one of my best friends, will always stereotypically expect me to have certain cars because of my background. And
And what are they?
So you have to go through a transition of a C63.
Yeah.
I think after that, probably an S7, because you can't really afford the RS7 at that point. And then after that period, and you've had your first V8, you realise that, okay, it's now time to be prim and proper and get yourself something decent.
And what was your first decent non
F12,
F12?
yeah.
Good car.
Yeah, that one there.
That one there. Well,
Yeah.
actually, not that one. So just before the lockdown, it's the first time I thought, right, I'm going to get myself something decent. And I was following TG's videos
Yeah.
on the F12, sent him a message on Instagram. And when it arrived, it was everything I wanted because it was Grigio Silverstone. And I'd previously driven that car with a Ferrari event in the Isle of Man. And it was the time when you had the 458s, California, which I'm not a big fan of, and then it had the F12. So it was actually a big milestone for me to get that car. But when the firm started to increase in terms of revenue, bigger client base, we wanted to push the marketing even further. So the F12 had to go
Right.
to boost the firm, but I vowed it upon myself to get it back. And not the same one, better spec. I got that 8 months ago.
Right. And so it feels like a bit of a homecoming, does it?
I'll never get rid of the F12.
No.
I know the creeping, Carl, slowly.
Yeah, they are.
But would
Going
you,
back
get,
up.
They're going up, yeah.
would you get rid of one?
Do you know what? I had an F12 personally in 2013. And an F12 was the reason that I transitioned to Aventadors because I couldn't keep it on the road. Like, it was ridiculous. Just 700 brake horsepower, rear wheel drive, just this thing in the wet is just ridiculous. So I nearly killed myself 3 times. So I then went for Aventadors, and then from 2013 to 2018, I had Aventadors. I just couldn't transition. But then I went to an 812 super fast. The difference between the 812 and the F12 is the 812 has more power, but it's got rear wheel steer. So it aids you in keeping it in a straight line when you want to be in a straight line. Where the F12 is just very rigid, and it's, you give it an inch and there's no getting it back. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Money-wise, what's the difference between an F12 and an 812?
Well, at the minute, not loads.
So does that make the 812 a better buy or the F12 a better buy?
Good question.
Yeah, I think it makes the 812 a better buy because without doubt, the 812 is a better car than an F12, in terms of technology, in terms of drive, power, looks. I mean, it's just the newer version. And for 35, 40 grand difference to an F12. You even get some F12s that would be like a late 16 with less than 7,000 miles, and they're 200 grand.
812 Composizione F12 TDF. where would you go?
Comp for me again. Yeah, comp for me again.
What's the price difference?
Not
100
much.
grand.
Right.
Not much.
Not much. 100 grand.
10%. There's a price difference of 10%. So yeah, comp for me still, but you know it's hard. That's a hard one actually because
I'm glad you asked me that question because
Yeah.
you're Mr. Car, so I'd wondered what you'd answered about
that's a
that.
tough one because they're a TDF is an awesome car.
Is there one down there?
There's
Yeah.
an Enzo, a LaFerrari, and the Competizione and the TDF next to each other.
Right.
Do we know who they are?
What,
Who
because
owns
you
them?
want to buy them?
Yes.
That's what happens. You get Carl coming into a storage unit,
By the way,
like the Terminator, the laser going.
last time I was in here, Glenn, I hope you don't mind me mentioning his name, lovely guy, because I don't live that far away from here. And I came to buy 4 or 5 cars, and the first time I'd been here before, like super impressed with the place and the cars. But I can tell what a car is underneath a sheet, you know? And when you look, you think, no, that's not a whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So I'm going around ripping the covers off these cars. Glenn's going, Carl, you can't do that. I'm just looking for chassis numbers. I'm trying to find out who owns the cars. Oh, a nightmare. Yeah. I love going to storage units.
But you wouldn't be a creature of habit if you didn't do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
You know?
That car there. So Carl said that he thought that an RS6 is like the most drug dealer car.
Yeah.
That's what you thought,
Yeah.
didn't you?
It features on Mobland pretty well, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it fits well there, doesn't it? Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. No, if, you know, you've got a narcotics business, you drive an RS6, really. Depends how well your narcotics business is going. If it's going really well, then you drive a Cullinan.
Or if you defend narcotics allegations, you get yourself an RS6 GT.
So what about...
He's just had you there. That's the GT.
That's the GT.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, that's a different vibe. Yeah, the narcotics dealers don't drive GTs.
No?
No. The
Why?
two out. I mean, what colour's that? Has that got all the livery on it?
Yep.
Yeah, because it's not really understated, is
No,
it?
it's one of the 660 produced, 60 into the UK, and that's one of them.
Right.
White with orange livery.
Everything.
And, yeah.
We'll get some...
Although there was some interesting issues with the decals, which Charles fixed for me. Wasn't Charles's car; it was a different company. But
They're vinyl, yeah?
yeah,
And how much do you give for the RS6 GT?
200.
200. And what would they be RS6?
What do you mean?
Price?
What a standard RS6?
Yeah.
100.
Right.
So it's
you
double?
didn't mind paying twice?
No, because it's a bit like the difference between a sirloin steak and a Wagyu. I wanted the Wagyu. I wanted something
That's
special.
a good analogy.
No, it's just
Yeah.
the journey isn't arrogance. The journey is what I didn't have, and I follow Carl's family, and what they've done is incredible. And what we've talked about in the past is, you must have gone through this. You go through something. I was telling my son, who's 9 years old, I remember going to HMV in Rochdale town centre with my late father and my brother, and actually the same HMV my brother and I got kicked out of for fighting. And
What, with each other or with somebody else?
no, with each other.
Okay.
And but I remember looking at the posters, and you remember the hard posters and the cover,
Yeah.
and you're flicking across and making the noise. And then there was a Lamborghini Countach in white, and then you just see the car. So when I started to do well, I started looking at the cars. So you go through a process. So unfortunately, I went through the C63 process, and then you start looking at things which are a little bit more special. But for example, like Carl will tell you that maybe that car, even though it's 60 units in the UK, probably won't go any higher than that. It'll probably dip maybe to 190, 180. But I just wanted something where I knew that the electric era is kicking in. That's the last of them. And it's actually a really good-looking car. So it's nice to have it.
Yeah. And do you talk us through what cars you've got in your collection?
Yeah, so next to the F12... Actually, Carl, should we do a little bit of a game show?
Go on.
Could you tell me?
Yeah.
Next to the F12.
Next to the F12.
Do you want a leg up, mate?
Yeah, I can't really see. Was it an Aston?
Yep.
DB12?
Close-ish.
Superleggera?
Yep.
Yep. Which ones are yours? Where do we stop at?
So we've got the Aston Martin OMS edition.
Yep.
So that-
oh, right, yeah, on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yep.
Really?
And
Yep.
what's the difference?
Oh, so I'm getting your style now. He just doesn't like standard
No.
cars.
No.
You know, you can buy
you and him are going to be friends.
We're
aren't
going to
we?
be friends. Yeah. No, so like RS6, but you buy the GT. You got the DBS, but you buy the on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
And what's that? What's the
So
difference?
the background with the Aston is when I first bought an Aston Martin, it was a Vantage, and my brother and I were invited to the headquarters, and it really irritated me. I saw the wheels on the Her Majesty's Secret Service, and I asked the guy on the tour, "What's that car?" And he said, "It's a car you'll never have." And I thought, "You take it."
Who says that?
It's the way. It's the
But
way.
they obviously worked with him. It was
It's the way he said it, though. It was just like, that wasn't a joke, was it? And I looked at my brother. I thought, well, I know one common denominator is we're pretty good at people telling us what we can't do. And what we do is different.
Yeah, I imagine
thought,
that probably motivated you even more.
100%. There's another story from the time, but after my father, a lot of people didn't want me to do well, and my job was to do well. And I saw this, and I didn't have the money at the time. Guys at Top 55 had one in his showroom. I rang Charles every other day, and he's like, "The car's still here. Someone's put a deposit on it." And I was gutted because I didn't have the money to get that at that stage. And then I managed to find it. So it's one of 50 in the world. It's an exciting car. I suppose it's a bit like your first Tag Heuer watch where you get over it and then you want a beggar watch. But it's just something I wouldn't get rid of. It's beautiful looking, olive green. The wheels are amazing. And it's a nice car to look at. Will it fly up? Probably not.
How much did you pay for it?
200.
Okay, but it's a DBS.
Yeah, at the time, were the car 340, 380?
Yeah, list probably more actually.
Okay.
Yeah, cost price was 3.5.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you have the F12, you have the On Her Majesty's Secret Service DBS.
Yeah.
Then you have that track GTR.
Yeah, so Nissan GTR Track Edition from Ian over at Lichfield.
Yeah.
I've known Ian for years, really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And
And how much was that?
that was 108.
Okay.
And that 11,000 miles, Ian rang me and said, Track Edition's come in. It's in great nick. We'll make sure it's ready for you. I asked him to keep an eye out because there was the discontinuation at the factory 3 or 4 months ago of the R35. So in my head, I thought, discontinued, let's get one of those. And I haven't driven it yet.
Right.
Is it been upgraded, tuned wise?
Yeah, it's a full engine rebuild, stage 2, 1,300 brake horsepower.
1,300
Yeah.
brake horsepower.
Yeah, you should hear it. I had my 7-year-old trying to start it before
Wow.
and rev it, but it's special. It's a nice car.
Yeah.
But you've never driven it yet?
Well, I was aiming to drive, but all this happened.
Yeah.
So that's what happens when you're a professional skier, Carl.
Just hardcore.
And then you have the RS6 GT.
Yep.
And then this Porsche.
911 ST,
Okay.
manual. What was sat before that was I had a GT3 RS. Exactly, your reaction says it all, which they were just...
I mean, the ST is the best Porsche that Porsche have made since the Carrera GT, like without doubt. GT3 RS, I think it's just overhyped. It looks, I mean, everyone's taste is different, but I would get in that car and I'd feel like an idiot because I'd be like, where am I going? I've got a roll cage and a 4-foot spoiler and I've got harnesses. Like, I only want to go to the pub or to the shop or take my wife out for a meal. Where am I going to eat the Nürburgring? You know, I don't get it. But the ST is basically a GT3 RS that looks like a GT3 Touring with a manual gearbox. Like, it's an amazing car.
And how much you pay for that?
409.
Right.
And that's in the Shore Blue.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Decals are very nice.
Great. And then we've got the Ferrari is.
So if something happened to me today and I had a choice of keeping 2 cars for my boys...
Well, wait a minute. Answer that in a minute. Okay. Answer that in a minute. I've got that.
Have you really?
Yeah.
It's a job as a lawyer to predict your questions.
Yeah. Yeah, what's that one?
Speciale.
Yeah.
Yeah, 458 Speciale.
And what'd you give for that?
That was 380.
Yeah.
Low miles?
1,300.
Yeah.
Do you think that's good money?
Look, those cars, especially that one in particular, so that's Rosso Corsa, Nart Stripe, North American Racing Team Stripe.
Yeah.
That's the launch colour. That's the brochure spec with 1,300 miles. I mean...
Lots of carbon.
I just, if someone asked me for that car, I don't know where there's one. Well, I do now.
What do you reckon that would get today?
I would advertise that car for over 400 today.
Wow.
And I think I'd get it. Yeah.
And do you think they'll go up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Aperta version, the convertible version, is double. It's like 800,000.
Wow.
Going up to $1 million.
Is that in the UK or the US?
In the UK.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you've got a 488 over there, haven't you?
Yeah, the 480 Pista. Rosso Friano, is that what it's called, Carl? Friano?
Yeah. Well, they do. There's a few colours that are similar to that. There's Rosso Maranello, Rosso Fuoco, Rosso Friano. I'm not sure which one that is from here.
That's a 488 Pista, and that's the Artalia March 2019. And it's one of my biggest gripes because Charles offered me the 488 and a Speciale on the same day. And I wasn't very educated on cars at that stage, and I took the 488, which I don't regret, but I missed out early on the Speciale.
So you paid more for it afterwards?
No, I went on a hunt for a Speciale, but you know this is I'm sure you're the same. You can't pressurize people on cars who are new to the supercar world. You can educate them and guide them, but they need to find their own steps where they think, Carl, I regretted not buying that.
Yeah.
And then that's exactly what happened with Charles. I regretted not buying the Speciale he had because I realised what I had in front of me at that stage. I'm still an amateur in this.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning. And I like it because it takes me away from the madness of what I do day to day.
Yeah.
But
which we're going to come to. But we're spending quite a lot of time talking about your cars because you've got a lot of them.
I mean, you've got some nice cars. You've got some nice cars.
Thank you.
I mean, for someone who's new to it and still dipping your toe in the water, like you've just said, you're doing a good job.
My brother's trying to convince me to get rid of all of them and buy two very special cars.
I would also
let's come back
to do that.
Let's come back to.
I would also.
I'll come back to that. Come back to that because he talks about whether you trade in 5 or 10 for a big one, like with all your watch collection for a big one. We'll come back to that. So the 488 Pista, what did you pay for that?
$325.
Okay. Do you think they're going to go up?
They're going well.
But you say that about every car.
Well,
they're all going up.
When we talk
especially
about Ferrari,
when you're selling them.
When we're talking about Ferrari, it's hard not to. All of his cars that he's got an F12, he's got a Speciale, he's got a Pista. He's got cars that go up in value.
Yeah.
The RS6 GT isn't going up in value.
but they only made 60 of them.
Yeah, but there's a reason for that.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
what's that?
Well, there's 60 people who would pay double for one rather than a normal RS6.
Yeah.
But, look, it's a great car, it is what it is, but it's an Audi. Well, tell me what Audis appreciate. None.
Yeah. Okay.
Ferraris, tell me what Ferraris don't appreciate.
Roma?
Very few.
R8,
that's
R8
not a Ferrari.
manual. What about an Audi R8 manual? What would you think of that if you was put no?
It's a different audience. An Audi R8 V10 manual it's for a super duper duper enthusiast who knows more about that car than what the people at Audi who built the car know about the car. If I get offered one of them in part exchange, my feelings are mixed. I get like, ugh, the person I sell that to is going to be hard work. But then I also get like, oh, you don't come across these very often, So, not
you think
not my
get
thing.
one?
No, because it crossed my mind a few years ago because, again, learning the whole car world very slowly, I just thought they were a rare car. There was a barrister who I knew years back who had one in manual, regretted selling it. And I thought if you were presented with a low mileage Audi R8 manual, would you take it? And probably then I would have, but not now.
No.
Everyone regrets selling their V10 manual R8 because they sold them for pennies. That's why they regret selling them. They don't regret selling them because, they're going up in value or they're
Or it's the best car in the world.
It's just like, it's the car was 150 grand and they probably sold it for 50.
Yeah.
And then it's now 65 and you're like, oh, I regret selling that. If it was 35, they wouldn't go, oh, I regret selling it for 50. They just regret that they lost out.
And then the Lambo.
Recent addition. So Lamborghini SV, Nathan's Blue, 62 delivery miles.
No way. Really?
Your guy Charles at Top 55, I asked him to go on a mission and he completed it in a very short space of time. Don't know what he did. The guy's probably still tied up somewhere in a basement. But
You can get him out.
But no.
I'm going to say I'd have done him in, but you'd have got me off with it.
No, it goes back to what I said to Rob before we started filming, which is I always wanted to get an SV or an SVJ.
Why?
And I just find them fascinating. I think that era you talked about when you went from, when we talked about the SVs you've had and the Lamborghinis and from the F12, I just think that's a car you have to have. It's V12, the way it's designed, the colour. But when I said this to Charles, he said, I'll try and get one. And then when it arrived, and for me, it's just fantastic.
But what you have there is you have a Victoria's Secret model that you can't go anywhere near.
That's probably a good
Like,
thing.
what a waste. 62 miles. You'll never experience what that car is.
You see, that
Well, will you ever drive it?
yes,
You won't.
I will.
I'm with him.
sacrilege, you won't.
Because you're going to depreciate it, aren't you?
I'll tell you why I'll drive it. For example, the Aventador behind you is the Pirelli edition, 100 made, 10 released to the UK. That's the Roadster. I've driven that quite a bit.
How many miles has that gone?
I'm going to turn to Glenn for this. I think it's about 4,000 miles on that one. The STO,
So when you say driven that quite a bit, because what age is that?
so that's 2015.
So it's nearly 11 years old and
Yeah.
you've done 4,000 miles. I mean, that's not a lot, is it?
Yeah, but the way I look at it is, I think there's a benchmark, isn't there, where if you a conversation, the question you're going to ask me later is about what would you trade in. The bottom line is, I think you've got to keep a certain amount of miles to be attractive to independent supercar dealers, where I can say, look, I've only done less than 7 in that and 6 in that. I want to put them together and get something special. And that's what I'm kind of keeping my eye on the horizon.
Right.
Of when I want to do that.
So you're really driving them not much. I mean, I have an Aventador and that has 20,000 plus miles on
Yep.
it, similar age. So I obviously drive it a lot
But
more.
I'm in Dubai, I'm traveling a lot. So when I come back, I don't often drive much. But when I do, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Can we just get back to the SV for a second?
That was very patient of you to say.
I'm like, 62 miles.
Yeah, that's not my 62 miles. That
No.
Yeah.
But from new, it shows 62 miles.
Correct.
Because the car wouldn't leave Lamborghini with 0 miles. It leaves with, I've seen cars leave Lamborghini with more miles than that.
Okay.
So there's a very, very good chance that car actually has never been driven outside of the factory.
There's only one person who knows that answer who's watching us today. We'll have to ask him afterwards.
Well, but what I'm saying is, if you said, yeah, I'll drive it, you possibly have the lowest mileage SV Roadster, certainly in the UK, without doubt in the UK.
I'm pretty certain it is the lowest mileage SV Roadster.
You're up there, it's how many times did they test it at the factory to give you the lowest mileage one in the world?
Yeah.
So you're not going to drive that.
Would you drive it?
No.
You keep it as a museum piece?
Well, it is. That ship sailed. It already is one.
So where's that going in 5 years?
I mean, forget what it is in regards to it's an SV and SVs are doing well. And at the minute I thought that an SV would be doing better than what they are at the minute. They've sort of halted for a while. SVJs have gone mental and an SV just hasn't gone with it yet. I think it will. But forget that. You have a 62-mile SV Roadster, which you still have to service every year.
Yep.
It's still going to cost you 8-10 grand a year
Yep.
for it to have 62 miles on it.
What would one cost that's got a higher mileage? What's high for an SV? What's a high mileage?
15, 12, 15?
12, 15,000 miles.
Yeah.
What would that cost roughly?
250?
Why wouldn't you do that then? Why wouldn't you buy one of those at 250 and drive it?
Because
and
that
enjoy it?
car with that mileage will... The option for game is very limited because of the mileage. It's less appealable to somebody. It's not desirable. It's like...
But if you want to actually drive your cars, is that not a better option? Because obviously that's a museum piece you just said. So, but if you actually want to drive
if you want to have it and drive it. But, an SV is one of those cars where, no one has a Range Rover and a Lamborghini SV as their 2 cars. An Aventador SV is your 7th car.
Yeah.
Because it's not exactly a relaxing drive. It's uncomfortable. You got
well,
the
you don't
seats.
know. You haven't driven it.
I have driven an
And
SV.
he's never got to know. He's never got to know.
No. Oh yeah.
No, you got the bucket seats. It's loud. It's the gearbox is shit. So, but it's it's an occasion. It's theatre. It's
But you're saying about it's being a Victoria's Secret model. Some people like girls in mileage. I don't.
no, nobody who likes girls with mileage. Who's that guy?
I think you're family here. Right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. All right, we better move off of that. Sorry, Carl, but we better move off
Just
of
getting
that.
started,
And then,
man.
well, we can come back. And then the STO?
STO's about 1,000 miles. And the story behind that was, went to see it. They actually advertised it, the flagship at Lamborghini, with the bike. And I mentioned to you that I asked if the bike was with it. Can I buy it with it? I was told it wasn't. And then I find out over a year later that the bike is part of that to buy. The bike had disappeared, and my brother, bless him, managed to track it down, stored away a Ducati in Coventry. So I actually managed to marry them both back up together. Was
that the original bike to that STO?
Yep.
Okay.
So picture this. I went to the dealership.
Naughty, aren't they?
It's a conversation for another time, but it was frustrating.
We've got time.
Well, it was my first Lamborghini, and my brother is that great older brother who will research to death when I don't have time. And I didn't know people like you guys or anyone else. So he found it online, contacted the dealership, went to go and see it, and they were next to each other. I was really happy. My brother said, if you're going to get a Lamborghini, get a loud one, which makes sense. And I asked there and then, are they paired up? Can I buy them both? I was told no. So over a year later, I found out that, the whole advert for the launch of this was with the Street Fighter and the collaboration with Lamborghini and Ducati. And they said, no, it's gone. So through my brother's resilience, we managed to track down the owner of the bike who hadn't touched it, and it still hasn't been touched or even PDI'd. And he was sat in a storage in Coventry. So we managed to repatriate them and marry them back together only about 2 months ago.
Wow.
And at any point, did you threaten to sue Lamborghini?
You know what? Everyone always assumes that I'll always sue people.
Well, yeah. I mean,
so Andrew, who's my business partner, both of us together privately prosecute around the world. When it comes to your own personal life, you do have the ability to deep dive into situations and make sure it doesn't happen again to the next person. So the advice is, in those situations, just be a bit more transparent. But the lesson I learned from that was, Glenn, who you mentioned, who runs this storage unit, and Charles, I'll actually pay people now to go and see the cars and go and check them, because it was just a headache. I just talking openly, I don't think I've ever had a positive experience with an official dealership, apart from Lamborghini in Dubai, where I get my Lamborghinis from. I find independent supercar dealers, you're dealing with the owner, you're dealing with the family, you can access them quicker. And with respect to main dealers, the biggest issue I found is some of the staff who work there, not all, have been, at BMW for 8 months, then transitioned over to Porsche. I had the same issue with my GT3 RS. I told you that got the YSAC pack. I asked a simple question about, has it got the fire extinguisher? Oh, you don't need that. Well, no, it's part of the YSAC and the Club Sport pack. If I want to buy something and pay that amount of money, I want everything with it. And I think with official, independent supercar dealerships, you've got kids coming through, you've got the detailers coming through, you've got really hungry salesmen, but they already have a huge passion for supercars, not just one brand. And that's why I think what you do and what other people do is good.
Yeah. And what did you pay for the STO?
I think that was 305 at the time, and they're sitting at around 280, 290.
I mean,
they've not really fluctuated too much since they came out. Really, they dipped a bit initially and sort of crept back up a bit, and they're mid to high twos. Yeah,
I've got a Storato which dipped.
Yeah,
they were around the same range.
Dipped.
They just dunked. They dunked. Yeah, they've gone from a dip to a dunk.
What are they now?
230.
Less than 2.
Yeah. I mean, how many Hurricanes are there?
Loads.
Let's do a quiz. How many Hurricanes are there? Go.
There's definitely more than 10 variants.
All right, go on then.
So you got a Hurricane 610, 640 4-wheel drive. You got a 610 2-wheel drive. They're the Evos. I want about current models. They're the Evos. Then you've got Storato. Then you've got STO. Then you've also got the same in Spiders. The Evo, the 2-wheel drive Spider, the 4-wheel drive Spider. Then you got the Technica, which, I mean, what difference does the Technica even make? What does it even do? Nothing. Then you got the standard Hurricane, but that came out in 2015. They made 2 variants of that: a 2-wheel drive and a 4-wheel drive. There was a 610 and a 570. Yeah, 570 and a 610.
You're impressed, aren't you? You did this purposely.
Mate, there's loads. There's loads.
I mean,
loads.
does that not just feel like a piss take of the
No,
customers?
we've said this before. I know,
I'm gonna say
I know
again,
what happens.
It's a piss take.
Lamborghini are in the factory in Italy, and they're like, "Hey, we got loads of chassis laying around, you know." So they're like,
Let's put a stripe on the
So they're
front.
like, "Yeah, I know." It's like, well, you know, we got any wings laying around? Yeah, we got 50 wings.
It's a good
Well,
question.
let's just make one of 50. Put a wing on the back of it. Tune the engine up, tune it down, do this, do that. Right, all of a sudden we've got the Rob Moore edition.
It's true. That's why I went for the STO. It's the highest of the high for
Is it?
the Hurricanes.
Is the Technica not more expensive than that?
No.
No? But it was later, was it, the Technica?
Earlier. There's an earlier Technica as well.
Right.
So,
Because the Technica almost looks like a bridge between the Hurricane and then the newest Lambo.
yeah, the Revolto.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does actually.
How do you
A bit
actually
of-
say that? Is it Revuelto?
Revuelto.
I went on a Ruelto.
Revuelto.
That's what I was told. in
Right.
Dubai.
See, the silent V.
Yeah.
Revuelto.
Ruelto. Ruelto.
Yeah,
Can you say that?
probably not. I can buy and sell them though.
Revuelto. Yeah.
But that's a classic example because, you know, I think Lamborghini Birmingham was selling one only back in 2024 for around the 800 mark. And
What,
now,
Revuelto?
Yeah.
No. So what happened when them cars came
Tell
out,
me.
right, is so the list price on those cars fluctuate from sort of 530 to 630. You can put 100 grand worth of spec on them. Now, when they first came out, the first batch of, say, literally 6 cars came into the UK, and they came in really early before the next batch come. I think there was like a problem with delivery, and there was maybe a 6-week period where there was no other cars coming to the country. So everybody knew somebody, every car dealer knew somebody with a Revuelto, and thought, right, do you want to sell it? No, I'm going to lose my relationship with Lamborghini, but why don't we put it up at 850?
Right.
And they go, yeah, put it up at 850. Nobody sold a car at 850. Nobody sold a car. I would say there was probably a couple of cars sold for 700, maybe, but certainly no more than that.
And what are they now?
Less than 5?
Yeah, I've seen this 550.
Why don't you have one?
I'm not a massive fan of the electric era.
No.
Beautiful car though, isn't it?
Yeah, I've had a Lamborghini Dubai look after me really well. Went out for a full day around Jebel Ali and give it some beans. Great car, great sound, great cockpit. It was in like a nice military matte green, looks the part. But a bit like you with your Lamborghini days and you with your Lamborghini, I just can't go over.
You like the naturally aspirated?
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
agree
you
with
don't have a hybrid in your collection, do you? Not here.
Some people wear condoms, some don't.
That's good.
Okay, and then your this Aventador, it's not a standard Aventador, is it?
Pirelli edition. So they did 150 roasters, 50 convertibles, 10 of those released to the UK.
And what is the Pirelli edition?
It's a complete con. That's what the
we'll,
Pirelli
we'll, we'll
edition-
come to you.
It is. It
we'll
pisses
come
me off.
to you. What's the Pirelli edition?
That's actually my first Aventador. So it's more to do with the colour contrast. So you've got the black, the red, Pirelli colours.
So what is the Pirelli edition?
So that it's effectively the colour combo.
Just
So
nothing about the car is different other than that.
No, if you have a look at it, you'll see the references to Pirelli, the collaboration they did, the tyres, the colour, the back of it.
Right.
But that was my first.
And how much was that?
160.
Oh, okay. So
Around
you bought it
160.
fairly recently, did you?
No, that was 2 years ago. About 2 years ago.
That was a cheap car.
But there was one on Auto Trader recently, a red one, which is not a great colour.
Not great colour.
And that was about 215 with high mileage.
Right.
But it's interesting actually, it's a good question because that was my first V12.
Why is it a con, the Pirelli edition?
Well, they made an edition out of, they put a red stripe around the window frame and make them in black, white, and black, white, and red, and go, oh, it's a Pirelli edition. What? It's a tyre edition. And they want to charge, oh, I've got a Pirelli edition. Now, I get why you've got that, because I would rather have that than a standard one, because I like the colour, and I like the red accents, and it's nice. But it's not actually an edition, is it? Like, it's not actually a variant of an Aventador.
Have you had one?
Yeah.
But you still
I
bought
bet
one.
you weren't saying that when you fucking sold it.
I was when I bought it.
It was when you bought it.
Every car's a special edition with car cylinder.
I'm like, this is one of 10. How long have you had that? Because I think that I've owned that car.
I think it's 2 years. I think less than 2 years.
I think I might have owned that car before.
It says inside, I, Carl Hartley, love the Pirelli edition.
Yes.
What's really interesting about the Aventadors, because I have not the Pirelli edition, in like a dark grey, they look so different in a light colour to a dark colour. Like the front nose, I think, looks really different in the lightest colours like white.
I think them cars at Aventador, I still love Aventadors. I think I'll never move on and think, the newer model is better than an Aventador, because I think the Aventador's fantastic. And it took a lot. It had big shoes to fill coming after the Murcielago. I mean, the Murcielago is one of the all-time great Lamborghinis.
Incredible car.
And an Aventador, I mean, it won't quite be regarded as the same because they didn't make them in a manual, which it did in the Murcielago. And also the numbers that Lamborghini ended up making of Aventadors compared to Murcielagos, it would never be as special. But great car, really, really great. I mean, it just looks like a Lamborghini. You know, you could take the badge off of it, take it to anyone in the world and go, what kind of car is that? And they'd go, it's a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
People see the supercars, but they don't see the money and investing decisions behind owning them, because traditional education is broken and school taught you how to be a slave, not a money master. And that's why over 2 decades I built a brand new money school. Money.School Gold is my global financial education platform to help you make, manage and multiply more money. The gold level is for people who want to hit 7, then 8, then 9 figures in income and invest for the greatest return and build generational wealth. There are literally dozens of hours of more advanced courses, resources and masterclasses to help you scale your business, invest in property stocks, gold, silver, assets and watches, and of course, cars. So join this exclusive community and global school of other entrepreneurs at money.school/gold. And you can cancel anytime, no ongoing contract, and at just over £1 a day, it's 99.9% less than traditional education. And your kids get free membership. money.school/gold.
Is there any reason you don't have anything older or more classic? Or do you?
It's a question which I've been asked about a lot. I just don't think I know enough about cars. I think my biggest wobble would be if an engine light goes off or something happens, I get rid of it off. If something's not right, it annoys me.
You have to drive them for an engine light to come on, don't you?
But if I knew a bit more about them and I felt comfortable, I would.
What would be your go-to classic car?
AC
How
Cobra.
classic are we talking?
AC Cobra?
AC Cobra, so we're talking like 60s?
Yeah.
Well, you ain't going to get an engine light on an AC Cobra because
Yep.
you don't have any lights on an AC Cobra. You have a gear stick and 3 pedals and that's it.
I think even, I know it's not as old, I was offered, it's not a classic, but the whole Ferrari classics scare me.
Why?
Because I've had friends who've had bad experiences, so they've picked up a Testarossa, some nice TRs, and they seem to have a lot of problems. Not saying all of them, but I'd buy a classic from someone who I trust. But I've never dipped into the classics because the evolution has gone through. The poster cars are always wanted, and then I'm in this period at the moment, which we'll talk about, trade-ins and going for 2 cars. But if I was offered the opportunity to get involved in a Ferrari classic, I would love to know more about it. I wouldn't reject it. I just need to be educated on it.
So you wouldn't just buy something because you love it?
No, not on a classic, no.
No.
I'd need to understand it. So
Right.
if I was...
Because sorry, I'll come
Yeah.
back, because you always say you should buy something you love, don't you?
Yeah, and I think that element would be in your mind. You'd have to love it to want to buy it. But I also think because of your profession and what you do, you look at things
differently.
very differently,
Yeah, agreed.
very calculated. Dot the I's, cross the T's on everything. He has to, obviously. Where, you know, my personality, when it comes, I'd like, fuck, I like that. I'm having that one.
Yeah, I'm like
You
that.
know?
Yeah.
But then,
Yeah.
you know, you've got to weigh up the situation, the upside, the downside, what could go wrong, what couldn't go
Do
wrong.
you do all that? Is Carl right?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
spot on. I think it's true because even Andrew and I, who one of our business partner, I forced my car love onto him, and I've started to encourage him to buy cars. And he's recently got his first Porsche, his Aston Martin, and I was talking to him about investment cars in the new year, and he said the same thing. You're like, would you go older? But I would just need to know about it. I'd find it really irritating when I was traveling around the world, getting a phone call about this needs doing, that needs doing.
I think what you got to do as well, you hit the nail on the head when you said you have to buy something like that from a reputable dealer
Yep.
who you know you can always go back to, because these cars, they're 40 years old. They're going to a 40-year-old human has problems. So a 40-year-old car is going to have.
You hardly know, and you don't know yet.
I'm only going by what you tell me. Well, what doesn't work?
No, but
I've definitely not told you that.
This particular example, this car's not as old, but it's oldish and it's creeping. I was offered a 16M not long after I was offered this, and it shocked me because there was just not just a small gap, a huge gap in the history of the car. And
What do you call huge?
I think it was 7 years.
Yeah, it's big.
And
But
Three's not too bad.
Isn't anything right at the right price, though? Don't you just factor that into
what
your
would you
offer?
do in that situation? It's okay, so you're offered a car you
I'm
really
not a
like.
fucking expert.
No, but if you offered a car you liked,
Yeah.
So forget being an expert. If you offered a car you liked, and then you were told that there was a gap of chronological history missing,
I'd want it a lot cheaper.
okay.
Because I think you always say, don't you, anything's good at the right money.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So if it's cheap enough, you're like, well, I've got 30 or 40 grand's worth of repairs and maintenance and everything built in. It would also, for me, be a bit, because like, I drive my cars and I want to drive them to enjoy them. So I would also factor that in.
Yep.
Obviously, you're buying, you're meticulously sourcing very specific, very low number, very collectible cars. So, yeah,
16M would be a great car for you to get into. One of 50 UK cars.
It's on the hit list.
Yeah.
But finding the right ones, you have to be patient.
So what's the value of your supercar collection, do you reckon?
Do you know what? I don't have a clue. Just based on what Carl's been telling me, it's a mixture of good and bad news.
No, you got a lot more good news than bad news. A lot more good news than bad news.
Have you got any, this is your collection here?
Yeah, I've got.
How much you pay for the SV?
440.
It's hard to put a value. I mean, it sounds like a lot of money, but it's such a one-off.
There's a factor in that.
You got the plate as well?
What's the plate?
750 SV.
Oh, good plate. That's a cracking plate because it's 750 horsepower.
Yeah.
But in Dubai, in terms of, believe it or not, I know the values change, but my favourite car I drive often is my Storato, because in Dubai it's the perfect car.
I love a Storato.
Yeah. It's fantastic, but I get asked the same question about why would I collect here and not Dubai? In Dubai, for me personally, I've got an next door neighbour who's got a Ford GT who leaves it outside, and it's a great car. I've got a neighbour across the road who's got an SVJ, great car. I just don't like the idea of cars sat in the sun gathering sand, and you can have someone clean them every day. But the Storato is ideal because it's fantastic cover underneath, over the top, four-wheel drive. Not going to take it in the desert, obviously.
Yeah.
But you can go a little bit off-road and enjoy it. And it's a great fun car to drive, a very easy car to drive as well, responsive.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic.
I love a Storato. I bought a Storato about this time last year, and I wanted to use it because the first one I had, I wanted to see what it was all about. And me and my wife went to Estelle Manor. So, like, really shit weather. Like, it's December. And you just, through the Cotswolds, the roads are mud. But it was just, no, you don't care. It's great. You go over sleeping policemen, like, they're just not even there. You don't even brake. You just go over them. You just don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
I think the ride's better because the suspension's softer because it's higher. The ride's a lot better than, because a Hurricane is that's a stiff car. The STO, it's hard. The Storato rides a lot better than that, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Right then, you're only allowed one. Sorry, but a better lawyer's come in and done you and he's repoing all your cars bar one. You can only keep one. Which one do you keep?
Speciale.
The Speciale.
I mean, it's a tough question for you to answer, actually, because you've got some really good cars. I mean, if you're a Porsche nut, which I'm not, but if you were, the ST is like, a Porsche Anorex dream. Like, do you know what I mean? ST, which it is a good car. Speciale is just, is a future Hall of Famer for Ferrari.
Yeah.
I think so.
But then you got the SV. you know, you've got
But he
some
wouldn't
good
be
cars.
allowed to drive that.
No, he can't drive the
because
SV.
it's got
He's not allowed.
62 miles on
Just
it.
look at it.
Yeah.
Don't even touch it.
If the SV crept over 100 miles, how would you feel about it?
I don't think it'd be anywhere near as special.
Really?
Yeah.
If it hit the 3 figures?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's why I said you can't go anywhere near that. You can't even, don't even start it.
You've got to be 3 million. I'm just counting up. Got to be at least 3 million here.
Okay, should I have a quick reckoning?
Yeah, go on then. So the Pirelli.
So I'm going to put a value of 200 on that.
Yeah, okay. The STO.
250.
Okay.
By the way, am I going trade or am I going retail here? What do you want me to go?
Well, you forgot the bike as well.
Yeah, the bike, yeah. So let's go retail.
Yeah.
Let's go retail.
Yeah.
Because someone's got to buy it retail, so there you
Okay.
go.
Okay, so
So
the
let's go
Pirelli?
200 on the Pirelli.
Yeah.
Let's go 270.
Including the bike.
No.
Okay.
270 on the Sterato. What's the bike? 40?
50.
50?
In your eyes,
okay.
it's probably 40.
Yeah, 50.
Yeah. SVJ.
SVJ. SV, I mean.
62 miles.
Yeah, that's, I mean, look, what you paid, I think, is an astronomical amount of money for an SV, but it can't be replicated. So let's just stick with what you paid.
Okay.
Are you calculating this? 'Cause I'm not.
Roughly, yeah. We're roughly
Okay.
at 1.
Then I'd go 400 on the Speciale.
Yeah.
That's
Then
good.
I'd go 400 on the ST.
Yeah.
And go 175 on the RS6.
Okay.
The
GTR.
F12. The GTR.
Yeah.
What do you give 110 for the GTR? Let's stay
Yeah.
at 110. How many miles on the F12?
I think there's 3,000 miles on that.
And what year is it?
2016.
Okay, so that's big difference in price between like a 13 and a 16.
Yeah.
God, I think you could go 200 on that.
Okay.
On
Aston?
His Majesty's Secret Service, I mean, I'm going to be hard on that.
I know what you're going to say. You're going to say 170, aren't you?
No, I'd have probably said a bit more, but
Okay.
People when they advertise them for so much money, but they don't make that money.
Yeah.
Let's go 175 for easy
Okay.
numbers. Pista 325.
There is
Alright.
there is the Bentley at the top. Does that count?
Yeah.
Bentley
yeah.
Mulsanne. How old's that?
I can't remember, but that was Andrew. What was that? 2013.
How many?
about-
50 grand.
Yeah, about that.
All right. So you're about 2.8.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do you a straight swap with the Pagani Huayra I have.
And then you'll see every single one go up by 15%.
got to feed myself. Do you know what I mean?
Carl's calculator is different than mine.
Okay. So we talked earlier about maybe if you took all these and traded up for 2. So you've got, let's say you got 3 million quid in these. It's
Yep.
easy for rounding it up. You've probably got something sat somewhere you've forgotten. You've probably got a daily that's worth 100. So you're at 3.
Yep.
And these are all going, and you can have maximum 2. So you could have 1 or 2. What would you do?
I think I'd have 2. But I'd have to sit down with someone.
Well, we're sat down now.
He looks like he's in his dad's armchair. Look at him.
We're sat down now. I think it's quite a comfortable chair. actually.
For example, if I got 1, how much are LaFerraris at the moment?
You ain't getting a LaFerrari for this collection.
Okay.
Last LaFerrari I undersold at 3.5.
Wow. Undersold.
Undersold.
Okay, but if he topped up, could he top up?
I'm sure he
Could
obviously could. I'm just saying if we
So
wanted
top
to
up
keep
for $1 million?
If you wanted to keep it.
Okay, yeah, all right. Let's
as what it
carry
is.
on with that. You got to keep it in your budget of 3.
Okay. You see, I've never had a Bugatti. And I think I'd have to get my first Bugatti. Mm-hmm. What that looks like, I don't know. I don't know
Well,
enough
it looks
about
like a two-tone silver and grey one with 9,000 miles. That's what it looks like. And it looks like it could be here in an hour.
What have you got that on for?
1.5.
1.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what are the Veyron range? A shit one, a good one.
Okay, so like, it's a funny car, a Veyron. We talk a lot about Bugattis, but a shitbox is $1 million or slightly more. But you don't want. I mean, you want to run away from
Adam,
that
he's
car.
not going to get.
No, but you know this is the price range. But that car, it may as well be 500 because you're just running away from that car. You don't want anything to do with a shitbox of a Veyron.
What, massive ongoing expense.
Oh, you know something that'll just never be right.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
so you want to buy a good one. A good one's 1.5, but then you get different variants. You get the Super Sport, the Vitesse, the Grand Sport. They could go to low twos, 2.2 for Grand Sport Vitesse.
Okay.
So but for me, I think the value and the money and the upside in a Veyron is a standard 16.4 Veyron. I think that's where there's most uplift.
And what, 1.5?
1.5 buys you good.
Okay.
What I would do if I was you,
Yep.
I would take 3 of your cars. I wouldn't necessarily water. I know this was a hypothetical conversation.
No, say how it is.
But instead of watering down all your collection, I'd definitely get rid of 3 and just buy a comp or a TDF or something for $1 million.
Yep.
And just ease your way in to right, I might do that with another 3. Then all of a sudden you've got more chance of an uplift putting most of your eggs in one basket than what you have scattered around a bit.
Agreed.
Because some's going to go up, some's going to go down. And in the end, you'll probably break out even. But all you need is one big one to go up.
I think that's what we talked about, the evolution, because it's not new to you because it's in your blood, literally V12 in your blood. For me, it's new. And I think that whole story about when I was offered the Speciale and I regretted it when I knew more about it. And I think that's exactly where I am now, which is understanding the transition of limiting the cars down, going for something in particular more individual. There's quite a lot of people in here who've got cars. The SF90XX is a one owner, but he's collected all different cars. The
There's an
LaFerrari.
Enzo and a LaFerrari.
There's a LaFerrari Enzo F12 TDF. But no, I agree.
What do you think of electric cars?
Like some prefer to wear condoms, some don't. But no.
So is it an electric car, just to be clear, wearing a condom?
I think it's just safe. I think it's a great concept, and don't get me wrong, I'm going to be probably forced into one, and next time I see you, I'll have one. But I just don't feel it yet. For me, I just don't feel it.
You're going to have one day. He fucking hates them. Goes on and on about how he hates them.
Do you know what it is? I don't say I don't hate them. It's innovative, and I went through a phase years ago where I had a hybrid i8 as part of I don't know what, some kind of company deal we had. I grew up on the sound of a V12. I used to go with my dad to car shows, and have you seen that thing on Instagram where they're pulling out at like a drive day?
Yeah.
And
I was at that event.
You're joking?
Yeah.
So what you get is I think it's one Aventador pulls out, and then the second one, and there's a guy on electric going, making the noise. But I just can't get my head around it. Do you like Marmite?
Well, the situation why I hate electric cars with a passion is because, number one, I class them as a vehicle to move. It's like saying I hate push bikes. Like I don't care less about push bikes. Electric cars are exactly the same for me.
Yep.
My love for cars came from sounds and smells and how it made you feel, and that's why I love cars. I'm pretty sure you two are the same. You two both love cars. Rob loves cars. You obviously have a great passion for cars. If I had a car that you didn't have, and I was pulling out the car park and I started up, you'd go, wow, that sounds amazing.
Yep.
I like that. If I pulled out in the world's fastest car and it's electric, you'd be like, fucking hell, that's awful. It's about the theatre. It's about the feelings, what it gives. And not only that, I just think I hate the lifestyle with an electric car. So organised. Oh, we can't go there. When we go there today, we have to stop off 3 times to charge the car. And
you'd never be able to live a life like that, would you?
Of course not.
You'd be fucked.
Of course not. I wouldn't have got here from Scotland today.
Exactly.
I'd still be on the M6.
I know it's
charging my car.
I know it's $1 billion question, but from sat in your seat, are we going to be the lucky ones? For example, Rob and I have got Aventadors where people, or any V12 where electric becomes so consuming that, like, wow, you own electric, you own a V12, sorry.
I don't think in our time of owning cars that we will be forced to buy electric cars. I think electric cars hit their peak a couple of years ago in regards to how many people wanted to buy them, and now it's like nobody wants to buy them. But people also want what they can't have anymore. Now, through different emission laws and whatever's going out in the car business at the minute, a lot of cars that were V12s are now V8 hybrids, V6 hybrids with 4 motorized. I mean, the Koenigsegg Jumeirah is like a 1.6 with 4 motors, and it does 300 miles an hour. You know, you can't beat a naturally aspirated V12 or a V10 or a V8. So they will never be made again. V12s, naturally aspirated, V10s, naturally, they will never be made again. So that's what people want.
So we should be buying them all up?
You should be buying them.
Well, you've bought most of them. Because then, is there any left for anyone else?
Well, we'll always find a few.
So the last thing I'll tell you about the cars, which I haven't told you, but I'll share it now, is I have a USB for every car at the moment. And obviously if I sell it, I keep it. But because it comes from a deep place with my dad, I've done a USB for every car. So when my time comes, if they still have the cars and the boys open them up, it's got a story behind each car so they can plug it in and understand why I bought it.
Oh, nice.
But the likelihood of them just selling the car and spending it on some bird is probably more likely.
Good lads.
What's your story? How did you be able to afford all these supercars?
My late father, his lawyer came to the house when I was about 8 or 9 years old, not criminal lawyer, property lawyer. And he turned up in a Porsche 928S Midnight Blue. And it's the first time I'd ever laid eyes on a car I liked. And at that time I was relatively young, under the age of 10. And I asked my father's friend, can I have a look at your car? Let me sit in the seat. Held the steering wheel, looked at the emblem. My dad mentioned that he was a lawyer. At that stage, I didn't really understand what that meant, but the connection between supercars and law started around the age of 8 or 9. And then in the journey, so for me, my mum was in the NHS for nearly 40 years. So my mum's Welsh born and bred. My late father's from Bangladesh. Dad was involved in finance. And over the years, I never really got to see any supercars. So that first time I saw one, it still amazes me now when I think about it, because I remember sitting in that seat. So from a very early age, I realized that law was something I was attracted to. Fast forward, and again, another example, went to visit one of my dad's friends in Cheshire. He was a Court of Appeal judge, really good guy. And I remember sitting in his house and looking at these fantastic holidays they're doing and the life I thought, law would get you to. He didn't have any supercars, this guy. But what he did tell me was, find an area of law you really enjoy. Don't just work for a big law firm and be unhappy, because life's too short. So he mentioned criminal law. So I started some work experience, and my work experience was paginating 10,000 pages on a fraud case. But I was probably the happiest paginator you could ever meet. Because I had my foot in the door. It's probably the same for you, Carl. You've probably got kids saying, can I detail and clean cars? And as soon as one gets the foot in, they won't let go. They'll hold on with both hands. So I started in this law firm in 2003, working on what was called MTEC, Missing Trader Intra-Community Frauds. Huge cases, multi-million-pound cases. And once I was in there, for me, I realised that the pathway to crime was always going to be a passion. And, criminal defence for me at that stage was working for a good law firm. But where things really changed for me was I stepped up and started working for a magic circle practice where...
Before you get into that, I just want to ask you, why do you like criminal law?
Because you can apply your mind to it. When you prosecute a case, you're based on what the police or the SFO or HMRC have gathered. But as a criminal defence lawyer, you can apply not just the law, but your imagination to it. You can be creative.
Right. You
can go out and hunt evidence. You can find everything you possibly can to restore and restitute your client back to where they need to be.
Right.
And that the biggest And the best feeling in criminal law isn't just necessarily a not guilty verdict. It's getting the client back to where they were before it all started blowing up.
Right. Okay, so thank you. And then Magic Circle, you got in the Magic Circle?
Yeah, so working in the Magic Circle practice, and at that particular time, there was 7 of us working in a team which they kept quite low profile. So they had 9 huge service areas, and they started to get clients in different divisions investigated for anything from sexual offences investigations to serious crime and drugs. So they set up a team to keep effectively operating in-house. And I started learning, I think probably similar to all our industries, the art of how not to do things. So clients would pay huge money. The partner or the equity partner would promise complete contact 24 hours, 7 days a week. And the next minute, I was getting calls on my work phone at that time, you know, an old Orange network phone. And I was with my dad in Asda. And it was quite iconic because I didn't have any money. My dad had lost his job. And my dad was buying me a 3-piece suit from George. And when I was buying the suit, I got this phone call from a client. And Dad said, "You're not going to answer that." I was like, "It's my boss's client." He's like, "Well, he's obviously ringing you for a reason. Take it." So I went outside of Asda in the foyer area, took the call. And it was a client basically super upset, shouting everything you can imagine at me. I just, I'm really sorry. I was in the meeting. You're promised a champagne service. That's exactly the quote. You haven't had that. So it made me realize that no matter which firm you work for, you can create a fantastic bespoke service to give clients 24/7 access to a lawyer, because most of these people haven't got any previous convictions. They're living in a world of uncertainty. And their best mate overnight is someone they never met. It's their lawyer. Because in most cases, wives, husbands, family members don't believe them. People start doubting them in the local pub in the village. So once that started to make me realize that there was room for exceptional client care, that's when I started looking at my own practice.
And when did you start your own practice?
So I qualified in 2011, and the Law Society had a rule that you still have the same rule, that you have to be 3 years qualified to set up your own practice. At that stage, I was only 6 months qualified. So I said, you know what, I need to argue this. So what do lawyers do? They find pieces of law. So the Law Society, now is based in Birmingham, was actually based in Redditch, almost 6 miles away from where I set up at home. So I literally walked to the Law Society and said, there's a rule, I think it's called 3.3.6 waiver rule, that if you can present a case of how you should be able to be eligible to set it up early, we'll let you do it. So they sent me the literature, and I went to every single person I've ever worked for a reference, judges as well, the Legal Services Commission, clients, and went with a whole portfolio of arguments. So they invited me to an interview in 2012 with the head of ethics and another lady called Maria Round. And I sat in front of a panel, and for 6 to 7 hours, they interviewed me on my business plan, my executive summary, the projections, which we all know go out the window anyway. And I sat waiting for 1 week. And you know what? I've never said this to anyone. I think Andrew probably knows it. I burst out crying in the panel because I'd only lost my father, and I was just like, "You've got to let me do this." So in that meeting, I literally was at home waiting, and every day I was waiting for a letter to come through the post. And just towards the end of December, the letter came through the post, and it was a really nice letter from Maria saying, "Thank you for coming in. We're so happy to grant you," and I believe that I'm still one of the youngest lawyers in Law Society history to be granted a law firm. But then it was like, now I've got a law firm. So I set up officially. It's weird how the world works. My father passed away, and he was buried on the 11th of June 2008, sorry. And then you had Father's Day. And then the date of my insurance was actually, turns out, the day I buried my father, the same date. So I saw that from a negative to a positive. So the actual start date of my law firm in 2013 is the same day I buried my father, which just wasn't planned. It's been amazing, but I'd get rid of every single car just to have 10 minutes with him. 100%.
Was it a shock what happened?
Yeah, so I was on my brother's stag do, and my partner called me and said your dad wasn't well, and he had a massive heart attack. And it was raw because my father, he won't mind me saying this, and my mum certainly won't mind. He practiced what he wanted to, put it that way. So on a bad day, he would have a glass of Black Label, and then the next minute he would turn to religion. So when he passed away, it was hugely traumatic, but didn't know what to do. So one of his friends came to the house in where we grew up in Bamford and said, you know, your dad on paper's Muslim, you have to bury your father. And ironically, I was washing his Jaguar at a car wash just to distract myself. And I said, I can't, I'm terrified. I've just said bye to him at the hospital. I've just said bye to him at the morgue for the second time. How many times can I keep saying bye to my dead father? And I was 26, 27. So I went to bed that night. I had this vivid dream. My dad was at the bottom of the stairs in my family home in mud and slime and said, why won't you bury me? And I just woke up that morning, woke my brother up and said, we need to go to the morgue. Let's go and get him. And I just, from that point onwards, I think I've been in survival mode up until this day.
Well, that's giving me chills, you know.
There's a song by Timbaland, which was playing on the way there. If I hear it, it's horrible. It's called Too Late to Apologize. And I was driving to the morgue and I went with my brother, and, you know, one minute you're on a stag do, the next minute you're washing your dad's body. And I remember arguing with the imam. I said to him, the water's too hot. He's burning his body. And he's like, he's dead, Adam. And it went from having your hero and the roof taken away from you. And I had to grow up pretty quick. So once I buried him, I remember looking at my mum and remember looking at my brother, because I was the last one at the hospital after he died. And the person who took the brunt of it was my mum, because not only she was in the NHS for 40 years, but she rang me saying, Adam, your father's taken a bad turn. And she's the bravest one out of the lot, because I could hear him having CPR, and she held it together. So I vowed it upon myself that my mum would never be in debt. Any of my loved ones would never be in debt. Yeah, that's why I'm here.
Well, man, just big story. Credit to you.
Yeah.
It really is. Credit to you.
It's not all about the cars. And then on the way, you meet people who change your life. So it was definitely survival mode for all that time. And then the law firm is special to me and the people I work with, because I like to help people. So people go through trauma, and I've been through it. So I fight for people. I'll fight to the death. And then having your own business without a father is an anticlimax, because when you make your first million, I'm just sat with an accountant patting me on the back. When you buy your first supercar, there's no one in the passenger seat. So when I became a father, it was the best thing. And then in 2017, my wife said to me, I found your next business partner. And that was Andrew. He's the guy who will tell me how proud I am. And he's a guy who, I push cars on him all the time. And I was like, we get offered buyouts on the firm all the time. It's not about the money. It's about purpose.
When you say buyouts, what do you mean?
It's people offering to buy
Their firms.
My firm.
Oh,
Yeah, we've
right,
had
the one that
offers
buy your
from
firm.
we've had offers from private equity, and we've had offers from different law firms because we're number one for pre-charge defence. But it wouldn't be a purpose. My purpose was to make sure that my kids don't have to worry, but they have to have their manners. My bigger plan is, like, Andrew and I travel every other month together on huge cases, and he's part of my retirement plan because my family makes me happy. But when Andrew and I are running around the world defending the most craziest cases, we can't talk about it because it's confidential. But I think there's someone in business who's around you outside your family who becomes just as important as your family. And that's him.
Well, thank you for letting us come here.
Yeah, no,
and
you're welcome.
sharing that with us. I kind of don't want to change the subject.
You can. You don't have to.
No, but
It's a testament to my father. If I didn't cry, then he wasn't a good father, was he?
well, that's a very good point. The cases that you deal with.
Yeah.
I understand you have client privilege and there's confidential things you can't talk about, but there must be cases that are in the past, or you can tell us what a case is like. What kind of cases do you deal with? Tell us some of the crazy cases you've dealt with.
This is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah, I think this is something I definitely won't cry about. I think the craziest case was probably one Andrew and I did over a year ago. So I think I was in Dubai at the time. Andrew was traveling, and there was a successful family in England. And this is a real lesson for a lot of people, where you do have kids who are not raised properly and spoiled. And the family called and mentioned that their son had been remanded in custody in Miami-Dade prison in Florida, and he'd executed 2 people.
Wow.
He went over to the States for his 18th birthday, committed the crime on his 17th birthday, was remanded in custody on his 18th birthday. So then he went to an adult prison in Miami-Dade prison, which is predominantly huge South American cartel families. When I spoke to the parents, he'd basically asked for his 18th birthday money and trust to be released. Apparently he was going across the States to party in Miami, which he did. For some reason, got himself an unlicensed firearm, had an argument with 2 people in a McDonald's, shot them both dead.
Wow.
In Florida state law, there is a discretionary piece of law which allows consideration of the death penalty. It has to be in extreme circumstances, which that is, obviously. So why were Andrew and I called? Why was a UK-based firm called for this? So we look after a lot of super high net worth families like you guys do. And the biggest problem globally isn't every single legal aid lawyer or public defender. But if, God forbid, your children were in that situation overseas and you had a law firm or a family lawyer who had access to good lawyers overseas who could oversee everything. So someone like buying a car, I know it sounds crazy, but buying a car overseas and you knew the person, you'd get Carl involved. So Andrew and I went over and we met the public defender who, it was a kind of classic Better Call Saul moment. We thanked him for his time, but he didn't really have any proactive engagement in the case. And Andrew and I weren't allowed to attend the prison visit because it was too short notice, but they put a laptop screen on, and what should have looked like this family's son was beaten black and blue, didn't pick the right gangs to be affiliated to, and he was in a bad way, barely talking on the screen, prison guards stood behind him. So after about an hour or so after that meeting, we met with a local US attorney we work with quite closely, a guy called Manuel, and he's heavily involved with Mexican cartel cases, which is a conversation for another time. So he started helping us on this case. And what was bizarre is, despite him having an unlicensed firearm, was still classed as defense. So he was allowed to use those firearms as part of the ground law defense in Florida. What's even more bizarre is that you're thinking to yourself, well, there's 2 dead people. Very sad news, obviously. Who are the victims? That's the first thing anyone would think about. And in most of our cases in the UK and overseas, we employ, really high-end private investigators. I'm not just, with respect, not just saying former police officers. I'm talking GCHQ level, FBI, CIA, the nature of those people. And they, within a few days, have presented all the background information of both victims, picked up on some antecedent history, drug dealers, and straight away, it turned from 2 victims to 2 perpetrators. There was obviously bad character of their history involved, and the case was thrown out, and we got him home.
Wow.
So 4 days earlier, death penalty consideration, which I don't think would have gone through anyway, but it would have been 60 years in prison, maybe more, to him being released and flying back with Andrew and I to his family. And that stands out from one end to another.
Wow, and how does that make you feel?
Happy for the parents, because no parent would want to have the phone call of speaking to their son on the video link with, almost looking like he'd been battered by a rugby team in one go. But I did say to the parents in that particular case, he can never leave the country. He probably will. But the parents are very understanding about the fact that he hadn't been raised in the way which should have been done to avoid that.
And you said that to the parents?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. You don't want the repeat of the same thing.
Even though they probably paid you millions of pounds?
They didn't pay us millions of pounds. They paid us well.
Do you ever face that paradox that I'm sure every law firm and lawyer has to face, where you're defending someone you think's guilty?
It's a good question. My answer is, it's a great question, and the answer is always the same. I'm going to use Carl as an example. If Carl came up to me and said, I've been accused of X, Y, and Z, I would say to him...
Speeding, probably.
The first port of call is, wait for the evidence. A client's dying to tell you everything. Let the prosecution do their job first. Let the police do their job. Taxpayers. Let them go and seek the evidence. And the biggest...
So you don't want to hear from them that they're innocent?
No.
No.
From the start of any case.
But also, if someone told you they were like, okay, look, I was caught doing 85 in a 50, for example. I know it's a very different situation, but say if that was the case, and I said, well, I was doing it. You would rather, if you're defending somebody, could you then defend them?
No.
Knowing that they've said they've done it?
If someone tells you they've done it, but they still want you to act for them and go not guilty, we can't. It's professionally embarrassed and unethical. What I'm saying to you is, to explain it to you, is if someone comes to me with a fresh allegation, so let's say Rob came up to me and said, I've potentially got an interview with the police for a fraud allegation. We prepare for the police station, okay? We prepare for that case. Now, the preparation for that is one of the biggest service areas we run, and we're number one for, is pre-charge defence. Not many people understand that the majority of people who are charged in England and Wales didn't realise that you can early engage with prosecutors. So there's a piece of law from the Attorney General in 2018 where if you're a prosecutor, Carl, in Rob's case, you will not see anything about his case until the police have finished their investigation. The police then have to hand over the file about Rob. Now, the majority of cases in the UK, there are no lawyers intervening at that stage because no one knows about this. And we've been doing it, we've pioneered it now since 2013. How does it work? Rob's been interviewed. His lawyer, the majority of the time, will say, Rob, you've done all your police interviews, you're released under investigation, you're released into no man's land. Rob's thinking, okay, I feel like a bit of a sitting duck here. The police in his case, or the officer in charge, the OIC, will then send his file to you, the prosecutor in this case. This is when the magic happens. The prosecutor has to apply two tests, the interest of justice test and sufficient evidence. In non-sexual offence cases, they have to reach 51% to charge you. But part of the prosecution decision will say, is there anything the suspect or his lawyers have got for me to consider at this stage? The majority of the time, the police will say, well, no, there's been no interaction from the lawyer, which is generally true because it's usually a free lawyer. Whereas in what we do, in early engagement, clients will say, well, surely you getting me off at this stage is not good revenue for you. Well, that's not the issue. Reputation of dropping someone's case in the investigation stage is the biggest buzz, the biggest sale you've ever done in your cars, the biggest property you've been involved in. So when you engage with a prosecutor, we serve what's called pre-charge representations. So what could that mean in his case? I will go back to the police interview. If anyone's arrested in this country, the first thing they should do after a police interview is write down every question they can remember. Because the majority of the time, the legal aid lawyer will not have written a very comprehensive note. Not because they're rubbish, because they're focused on the interview. The person who will remember the questions or the ones which stick out is the suspect in custody. So when you leave, write down every question they asked you. Mark it LPP, legal professional privilege, and give it to your lawyer for them to keep in their custody, safe and sound. Because there's a risk, if you're rearrested, they will take that evidence and keep it away from you. So keep. So straight away, on your first meeting with someone who's newly investigated, you sit with them. Let's go back to the questions in your interview. Let's go back to them when you've not had your door kicked down. Let's go back to them when you're sat in my office with a cup of coffee and your favourite breakfast, whatever. And when you get them calm, you get all the answers to the questions. When it comes across the difficult parts, the real bits which decide whether you're going to plead not guilty and guilty, I will say, just pause. Adam, but I want to tell you the answer. Don't tell me the answer just yet. Let's see what they've got. I'll never forget a case I had where the client was obsessed on a daily basis and telling me what happened. I said, just wait for the evidence because they've got to prove the case. So when the first part of evidence comes through, I'll give it to the client, go away, some will go to a retreat, some will go on holiday, and they'll ring me and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. So often, clients will jump the gun because they're in a stress state, they're in a panic state, they want it to all to be over, and they'll commit to something they haven't done.
I've seen programs on that in America.
You've watched TV about it, have you?
Yeah. No, when they convince somebody, like, look, if you just say that you've done it, we'll try and get you, the minimal, just to get you out of it. And it's normally a kid,
Yep.
An 18-year-old kid who's old enough to go to an adult's prison. Could have been something to do with a murder, whatever. And I was in a film about it, actually, about the jogger that was murdered in Central Park in New York.
Yeah.
Or was it Central Park or one of the parks in New York? And the gang of kids,
Yep.
they're all like kids.
Very famous case.
Yeah. And they all admitted to it.
Yep.
They all went to prison, and then afterwards, a lawyer basically proved that
Exonerated like 25 years later.
And they didn't do it?
Nope.
So why would people admit to crimes they hadn't committed?
Oppression, forced interviews, confessions, panic.
Right.
Jurisdictionally, it changes across the world. I mean, there's some countries where, unnamed, where three of us could just be conveniently in the same area and they arrest us, beat the crap out of us and force confessions.
I'd say that's America, no?
Happens everywhere.
Said unnamed.
He might not want to name them, but I'll say it. It's the most third world country I've ever been to.
It's the approach to cases which is really important and the reaction. If there's a seasoned criminal, they're used to doors being kicked down, they're used to interviews, they're used to it. But generally speaking, with our clients, they're in situations where they've got no previous convictions. As I said to you earlier, perfect example, HMRC, Serious Fraud Office have two different powers. HMRC, if they investigate you on a criminal basis, they will need to use a local police force to facilitate their PACE interviews, okay? The interviews under caution. The SFO are a one-stop shop. They have cradle to grave, so they have the in-house prosecutors. But in any situation, my biggest advice to anyone under any investigation, first and foremost, is if you're released under investigation, you have the legal right to tell the officer in charge that I will be making pre-charge representations. The officer in charge usually will scratch their head and say, what does that mean? It's because they haven't studied the law. But if they don't respond, a good lawyer will write to the officer in charge and literally put hyphen in the care of the prosecutor. Now, if that officer doesn't pass the information to the prosecutor and the prosecutor charges the client is entitled to make an abusive process argument to a judge that the charge and decision has been on a prejudicial basis. So what does that mean? In any case, I had a case where a husband and wife had gone through 2 or 3 significant losses. They'd gone through a lot of mental battles, and we had a psychiatrist from Harley Street who did a full assessment of my client to confirm that on the date of the incident at a particular train station, she was in a state of insanity. Prosecutor's like, yeah, give over. It's like, well, fine. You go and get your own psychiatrist. So they got their own psychiatrist. He realized that our psychiatrist is a good psychiatrist with a great history, follows the NICE guidelines, no GMC markers, just a good guy. And when the prosecutor reads it, they really think about this a bit more deeply. Well, if I charge this individual now, that particular doctor is going to give evidence. And it's a good doctor with a good reputation. So they'll assess the headache file. If your criminal lawyers can make that client's file the headache file, the likelihood of being charged is significantly unlikely.
They don't want to do the extra work.
Nope, I haven't got the funding for it.
Do you only defend?
Andrew and I privately prosecute certain cases. I know, God, you're going to think this is a bit crazy. So we don't specifically defend any cruelty to animals, but go figure that we defend murder. Animals can't defend themselves, but we do not get involved in any cruelty to animal cases. Privately prosecution cases, we choose on an ad hoc basis. The last one we did was for a very hard-working family who had a fraudulent CFO who stripped the family of everything, caused the family to have a breakup. This guy was an absolute scumbag. He already planned the event that someone like us would go after him. So he had recordings of family members doing things they shouldn't be doing. Not illegal, but maybe morally wrong. So he ripped them right at the ventricles of everything. And the family asked us to privately prosecute. So what does that mean? It means that we do the police's job quicker and faster because we're paid. And the family have deep pockets for us to bring in asset recovery teams, private investigators. And if you privately prosecute someone, you can get them into court pretty fast. The reason why the police are happy with this is because you're doing the job for them. So, Officer Carl, here's the case of X, and then the summons will follow. But prosecuting white-collar crime is easy because you defend it on a daily basis. So you can think how they think, and they always think you're smarter, and they're not. No chance.
Nice to be on both sides. Like you say, it's got to help you in a case
Yeah.
to know that I won the last case because this wasn't done. So I'm going to make sure that this time...
You have to pick carefully, Carl, because there are families we look after. And if we're going to privately prosecute, we make sure we're privately prosecuting, A, to avoid any conflict, and B, it's easier to privately prosecute companies and entities because the individuals are likely to be people we already know or maybe represent.
So when you say you have to pick carefully, what do you mean? What do you not pick? What do you avoid?
I keep saying Andrew and I. Andrew's one of the shareholders of Holman Adams and the future of HA. We represent 20 to 25, maybe, serious criminal families, not just in the UK. And
You represent criminal families?
yeah, syndicates.
Yeah.
And those families will have people who operate globally and in the UK. So if we're asked to privately prosecute, I believe that a defence lawyer should always be a defence lawyer and defend only. So if we're asked to privately prosecute, I won't privately prosecute drugs cases, murder cases. I will privately prosecute, for example, God forbid, for example, the Hartley family. The Hartley estate is one of the most renowned. If Carl rang me and said our CFO was ripped out, he's off, taking cash with him, I know the families I represent will be like, well, we love the Hartley family, we love Supercars, do what you need to do, because he's not actively involved in the world of my other clients. Does that make sense?
Yes. So you're avoiding conflict of interest with the clients that you have.
Which is part of the SRA rules.
Yeah. Right. So you're not just taking cases based on whether you think you can win or if they're innocent.
It's availability. Like Carl mentioned, he's had to travel down today. Andrew and I are on a standby flight to Thailand on a most wanted case within the next 24 hours. We've just come back from there. So we're wheels up again after this. I think I showed you 1,390 missed calls on my phone in 4 days.
There'll be more now with this.
1,390 missed calls in 4 days.
I think it was somewhere.
That's like me trying to get you to meet us at an episode.
It was
in Scotland.
It was around about 1,390.
Wow.
But it's relative, isn't it?
It's panic though as well, I assume. What I'm saying is if something's happening to somebody and they're not accustomed to it, like your crime families would, they wouldn't even call you. They'd call you once. This is happening, that's happening. If something was to happen to Joe Bloggs and he genuinely was innocent, the panic, they need your reassurance. And they just put the phone down and I never asked him this, I'll call him again.
Do you know what, Carl? I watched a podcast you did, and I remember you talking about there are people who have bought cars off you where you have to do the extra due diligence and they might be mafia related. There are cases we're involved in where we don't know the families. And do I know? 100%. There's somewhere you think, we don't know any history about this family. Andrew, not long after he joined, was sent on a case in a particular country about a family who were allegedly disposing of people and bodies, and they were experts in making people disappear, especially after deceased. I said to Andrew, I have no idea who this family is. So he flew with a close protection team. We had one 2 years ago in Cape Town of a family who were on the run. Andrew and I flew with a close protection team. Didn't know what to expect. And it sounds over the top, but there are situations where you don't know what to expect on the side. In Andrew's situation he had a close protection officer outside. This family turned up because all too often it can go wrong. It's never gone wrong so far.
You're not ever scared?
No, because transparency wins every time. If you were a big criminal syndicate and I said, you know what, Rob, I'm going to get you off, and you get 30 years, that's where people have problems.
Right.
If you sit down with someone and say, you're looking at 30 years, two things will happen. They'll go and instruct another lawyer, or they'll say, thank you, but why? And you show them the sentencing guidelines, counsel and rules. And then anything below that, we know when we're going to win. We know. So deep down, when you know that a client's facing 30 years and you get the win, that's when you get introduced to the bigger families, and so on and so on and so on.
Right. Yeah, I take it you're not running Google ads to find your clients.
No, we have. That's how we start. Yeah.
How to get off
keyword?
with
Mexican drug cartel.
How to get off with murder.
That's how it started. No, I'd never pretend. We started off with Google Ads.
Right.
When I was on my own, we started with Google Ads.
Yeah.
Because you have to start. I had my own following. It wasn't massive then, but it was good enough for me to make good income, better than what I was getting paid at another firm.
Yeah.
But we ran ads early on, and then organically you grow, like any business, I'm guessing.
And how did you come about to represent Andrew Tate?
I think for us, for what we can say, Andrew Ford, who I'm pointing at over there, is Andrew and Tristan's go-to every time. I'll tell you a little bit about Andrew. It's very important. Andrew is fairly local to here.
Andrew Tate.
Andrew Ford.
Yeah.
Andrew Ford.
Yeah.
And we were representing a particular matter where, I suppose in your world, you get recommendations. And when we were recommended, Andrew Ford went to go and see the boys, and the rest is history.
Right. So it was a recommendation.
Yep.
Yeah. And what can you say? Rather than me ask you a load of questions, you go, can't, that would be boring, or it might be fun, I don't know. What can you talk about?
If I represented you two, I wouldn't talk about your business on a camera. Just wouldn't do it. It's just not in my nature. Confidentiality goes to the grave for me. What I can tell you is we fight to win. The case is going well. We continue.
Can you talk about sort of what the case is?
They have a civil and criminal case which is in the media.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I'm a big fan of when all parties can confidently raise their hand in the air and win, then we can talk about it all day long.
Yeah.
I just think whether it's the Tate brothers or whether it's I was involved, and Andrew, with the aftermath of the Shipman case. There was a particular doctor who was witch hunted for what's called FP10 fraud, which is prescription fraud. And I remember he said to me, one of the best things about the way we work is, doesn't matter if I'm famous or not, you treat everyone the same. And that's really important to me.
Yeah.
But the one biggest thing I learned from that case was, he said, if you ever have a client who's accused of something they've not done, the best piece of advice, bearing in mind this was a fourth generation GP, he said, never let anyone's false investigation paralyze you. If you can get past the paralysis stage of an investigation and let good lawyers get you back on track, the biggest buzz is for the clients just to carry on as they are.
So what does that mean? Explain that.
It means that...
As in, it grinds some people down, is that what you mean?
99% of people, doesn't matter if it's famous people or not, if they've got an investigation hanging over them, it causes anxiety, it causes depression, arguments in the family, wife getting shouted at, kids feeling the vibe from the father. But the biggest feedback we've had from our biggest clients is, if you can learn the art of letting your lawyer go with it and trying to not let this system paralyze you, you will get the best result. And it's such good conditioning.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be told to criminal family because they're used to it.
Yeah.
But someone who's fresh into an investigation, if you can, Andrew and I will always say to clients, the first 4 or 5 weeks, instructions are irrelevant. Keeping the client's mental health is where you get the win.
What fascinates me, and I've got a bit of inside intel into this, but you're obviously, you respect your clients and you're not going to talk about a case that's ongoing. But Andrew Tate just keeps talking about it all. Is that good, bad for his case? Is he not getting advice that maybe he should not say things?
I think we live in a world where people will discuss what they want to speak about. He's got Andrew and I for his case. He's got fantastic lawyers who deal with PR on other sides of it. But I think with the world of social media, like for example, what you're producing in your content is now explaining to the world how things in the UK have fallen and changed. People may think that what you're saying could be controversial. I don't think it is. I think it's insightful in a good way, useful. But I think with not just the brothers, but other social media influencers, it's how they've built their reputations. But what people say and what they do is something we can't control. We can advise people. For example, if you came to me in the future about something you wanted to release, you might ask me to look over it. But then kind of questions the ability to just speak your mind, doesn't it?
What do you think of the state of the UK right now? Whether it's with law or just, the state of the economy and crime and things, how do you feel it is?
So it's a good question. I was born in the UK, born in Manchester. I enjoy the UK. I think the only thing, I was saying this to Carl earlier, is it's the negativity, which is unfortunate. I feel it more here than anywhere else. I think
So as someone who travels the world, we are the most negative, are we?
I don't think they're most negative. I just think we could
Negative towards success.
I think we could learn a lot to clap people more, as opposed to hit them with a stick. I always remember when I was young, the first time I based my theories on facts. I remember the time when David Beckham got sent off, and I never really understood how the world turned on him. The next minute, he's having, I think he had a mannequin outside his home, but I think, and I was only like 13, and I thought, pathetic. How could someone go from being a hero to hated so much? So that was the first thing. The other thing, and I think I'm going to say this for the record as well. I said this to Carl earlier, is I started following his father on Instagram this year, and I remember there was criticism I posted about more helicopters landing, and I read all the comments, and I said to Andrew Ford, I was just like, why can't just people be normal? Clap and be happy.
Yeah.
I said, if that's what's happened, that's what's happened. But when I was in Dubai, they loved it.
Yeah.
I think it's great. So there's a big cake out there. Everyone could get a nice slice. But for the moment, the only thing I personally felt, maybe not just in the UK, but I've seen it, is on my journey, and no doubt your journeys, is people are quick to have opinions. People are quick to kick you when you're down. And I think it's unfortunate. On the weekend just gone, when I was in Stratford-upon-Avon, I wanted to pop into the shops and I got my wife the wrong stuff. I wanted to change the clothes. But the trading hours, just open everything up. Let people work. There's jobs available. And I just think that, for me personally, the only change I've seen significantly is if we could get a gold medal for negativity, we'd win it every time.
Well, apparently the UK officially is the second most depressing country in the world.
What's the first?
I don't know, but
Well,
it's got to be somewhere really fucking cold.
So I've just come back from Finland. Right.
Did you do Lapland?
I've done Lapland with
Nice.
the kids. And I heard a statistic out there from a Finnish.
Yep, Finnish.
And apparently it's the suicide capital of the world.
Finland.
Is it really dark all the time?
Yeah,
then?
because they
Really?
go 6 months and have an hour of light a
That's
day
like
or
Peterborough.
something.
Yeah.
Peterborough was second, actually. But really, was that a fact, is it?
Like fact,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
that's like
whatever
a survey.
But yeah, apparently it's the second most depressing place in the world. We're also the highest amount of rape in the whole of Europe.
Wow.
By I think it was Poland, it's like 0.3 per whatever the measure is, 100,000, I think. And we're like 113. How did we get like this bad at all this stuff? The knife crime in London seems to have got out of hand. We're one of the highest taxing nations in the world. Do you not feel this? You travel a lot. Do people not look at the UK and go, well, that used to be an empire and look at it now?
But I'd like to know who's committing these crimes. Do they have British passports?
Well, I mean, you've just opened a whole nother can of worms.
That's all I'm going to say.
No, so I was, before my professional ski injury.
I mean, they're in the country, though. We let them in.
I know we let them in, but what I'm saying is, have they got? I'd like to know how many of the percentage of those rape crimes, stabbing crimes, theft, how many are from British passport holders?
So when I was in Courchevel, I was speaking to a Dutch doctor, and he asked me about this topic, and I answered it with two major points: facts and geography. I'm doing a talk in 26 at the University of Bosnia. These law students have asked me to talk about this very topic. Now, it doesn't matter if I'm brown or white. I'm British. I'm born here. I'm proud. And I use Germany as a perfect example. I did a dissertation on rape allegations and immigration back in 2003. And Germany at that stage was probably one of the lowest in Europe. When you look at the facts, which I'm a facts man, and you look at the figures, the increased Algerian, North African-based sexual offence crimes in Munich was at its highest. So when they arrested, charged people, they did the figures and the numbers. And there was poor immigration checks on previous convictions and history. My view is, if I had the opportunity to run a country, that's the first thing you do. Doesn't matter if you're white, brown, yellow, or pink. Is Mr. Rasul's coming through the gates. We don't know what he's done. Well, you can, if you invest in the process, you can do a letter of request to that particular country. I do them all the time. It takes a bit of time, and it's difficult if people are coming over illegally, but facts speak facts. It will tell you. And it's not a conspiracy, it's not opinion, it's facts. And over the years, in terms of knife crime I was involved in the UK, in Manchester, defending, there is parts of Manchester where you get different groups, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different cultures. And I always say to any case, do a history check. Look back, and you'll get the data you need.
Same with anything. I do it with cars. Like, if I'm buying your Speciale, before I approach the car and viewing the car, I do my background checks. How many owners has it had? Where has it been serviced? Any outstanding MOT advisories? Has it ever been in a crash, in an accident? You know, and you can suss out before. It's just like a human. It's like anything. You can suss out before then. Actually, this car's a 2-owner car. It's only had 1 private plate on. The last owner's owned it for 7 years.
Yep.
And it's been serviced every year with Ferrari. Well, that's a good car. I'm now interested. 7 owners went missing for 5 years, like your 16M went missing for 7 years. Went missing for 5 years. Mileage is a bit weird. It done 4,000 miles in 1 year and then done no miles for the next 7. Strange. All of a sudden, how interested am I at this? So
how did we get to comparing cars to immigration?
you can compare anything.
But no, I get it. The thing is, Rob. I obviously, as you can see, my mum's white, my dad was brown, and all of a sudden it becomes a lot easier, apparently, for me to talk about it because I've got a mixed. It's just absolute nonsense. Everyone's entitled to have their opinion on this topic.
Yeah.
But if you ever wanted a default position, numbers and facts.
Yeah.
Look at anyone who comes in. If I ran the country, you have to pass a criminal check. I had to pass a criminal check to go to, after my grammar school, to go to X, Y, and Z to get my first job.
Yeah.
My mum had to do that for the NHS.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Moving off topic slightly, have you ever been paid for a job with a car?
No. So there's a few reasons why. A, it's unethical.
Is it though?
Yeah. You can't, do you know?
He'd take anything for a car.
So so I say the old days. So my former bosses back in 2003, who would have been 50, 60 then, used to talk about. I think it was the green corner days where you'd get a case and you submit a green sheet and you get paid for the case, and you'd hear stories about lawyers in the 70s and 80s who would take cash, and you hear nightmare stories in the future where lawyers still do. The general rule was always, recently, was 50 quid. My whole team are advised to never take cash. Yeah. Actually, I'll tell you an interesting story. I remember when I was a newly qualified solicitor, I was in Birmingham at a practice, and my boss at that time, honestly, there's a few choice words.
Choose them. What are the words?
I mean, we're all open-minded.
I remember, do you know what? I will not give him the time of day. And he said to me, I've got a client downstairs. He's accused of X, Y, and Z. He's got a history of links to murders. And I remember walking downstairs, newly qualified, and this guy, just imagine The Rock with extra steroids and extra scars. And I remember Googling this guy, and I'm thinking, right, okay. Turns up in reception. Apart from my professional ski injury, I've got a good handshake. This guy crushed me. Went into the conference room and said what had happened, and he showed me his charge sheet. And he had a wad of cash, probably like 1,000 quid. And he whacked it in my pocket, took it out, and said, no, thank you. He goes, take it. And he looked at me so aggressively. He goes, are you going to disrespect me? And I said, no, because you're disrespecting me. My mum's worked her arse off to get me to law school. I've worked my arse off. My dad did. But I remember on the sheet, there was reference to his father who passed away. And I said to him, if my father was here, he would tell me the same thing. Your father passed away, didn't he? And he went, yeah. I said, right. So you respect your dad's rules, I respect mine. I remember giving him the money back and expecting him to give me the biggest haymaker I've ever had in my life. And I walked out. I went to my boss at the time and I said to him, you know, you just sat in the office. You meant to be mentoring me and you knew what you were doing. You sent me downstairs to the lion's den. I said, because you're scared of this guy. But in my opinion, lawyers should never accept cash.
Yeah.
The Bribery Act governs that anyway. But why would you? Because there's cases you read in case law and you see it on movies, which sometimes is not far from the truth, where lawyers are paid cash by the wrong people. And it goes horribly wrong. Mainly see that in the kind of like East Coast days in the 80s, lawyers, but you just wouldn't do it. No chance. Even if I got offered anything, I wouldn't do it. Got 2 boys who follow example, a law firm to run, and ethics wins every time.
Yeah.
Well, your reputation would be totally tarnished in that business forever.
You'd lose everything. You'd not only be struck off, but why would you do it? Why would you work so hard just to mess it up in one transaction? So, sorry to sound geeky, so the law on that is, I had a case years and years ago where a client paid money, a new client, brand new client, paid the money into the firm, we did our DD, and then the same day, he wanted the money back. So in those cases, the law tells you have to make what's called a report. You have to report that, a suspicious activity report. So the law says you can't release the money back until you've made the report to the right people. But there's so many lawyers who just don't make reports.
Right. Yeah.
Because that would be money laundering.
100%.
Yeah.
You have to report it to the NCA.
Yeah. Do you buy all these cars cash or do you finance some of them?
Finance some and some are bought out, yeah.
And what's the methodology of ones you might buy cash and ones you might finance?
It's a really good question, actually. The methodology, for example...
Because I imagine you've thought about this.
No, I did. I think so. I'm with Coutts Bank, and obviously with lawyers we can't give financial advice. And with respect to wealth managers, I'm not a massive fan of taking advice from someone who earns not much money to give people advice.
Most IFAs then.
Yeah. But one of my friends who's involved in finance said to me, whilst you're traveling with a new bank, keep a financial footprint, keep a credit footprint for your kids, because I don't think my kids will live in Dubai forever.
Right. Yeah.
And if they come back to the UK and I need to help them out, I'd have a huge history missing of a financial footprint.
Right. Yeah. So that's the reason why you finance some of the cars. Yeah. And does it enable you to buy more? And are you hedging that they'll go up more than the cost of the interest?
I think, based on the last couple of hours and talking about cars, I say this because I'm looking at him. Charles rang me when I was in the Maldives a few years ago, first world problems, and he said, you will review your cars every other month, and you'll say that you want to keep all your cars, but you won't. Something will give. I've had professional advice off you today. And I do think that there'll be less cars, but really special cars above that 1 million range.
Right. That's your goal with your collecting.
I think why would I not take advice off these people?
Yeah.
Like you on property, these guys on cars. You come to me with a new allegation or something.
Yeah. Well, hopefully not. But
no. If
I've got you on WhatsApp now. So.
But I won't lie to you. Whilst I've been in this conversation, I look round and think, well, the Aston Martin's not going to move much. The RS6 is there. Put those two together. Get something else.
Basically, the 2 cars that he dissed.
No. The two cars which are actually the lowest value. Third lowest value. The
GTR.
Yeah, the GTR is just. I don't know. It's just
a
something
different kind of car. That was probably like pound for pound at the time, because I was in my 20s. When I got the first import Japanese GTR over, I paid 27 grand for it.
Oh, wow.
You can't get rid of that car. That is just like, whether it's 50 grand, 100 grand, or 200 grand, it's such a unique car.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Even though it's 100 grand, it's just a unique car, isn't it?
It's something different.
Are you attached to the ST?
Yes.
Are you trying to buy it off him right now?
I'm just trying to put a deal to him in a minute, Rob. To try and...
Well, we haven't talked about my cuts on this.
Do you know what you should do?
He fucking sells a car every episode.
Do you know what I'm realising?
Every episode he sells a car. And I have... Where's my cut?
You
I pay
cars
for
off
Harry,
me.
I fucking do all the research, all the gear.
All I'm thinking is, if you weren't in love with the ST and the Speciale and the F12...
Do you know what, Rob? Honestly, I think the next podcast should be a differentiation and correlation between criminal lawyers and supercar dealers. Because when Carl and Charles, again starting with the letter C, walked in here, just deals. It's constant
Yeah,
deals on the mind, isn't it? It's deals, deals.
Carl's trousers just moved.
you can't put me in a place like this with these cars and someone say, you know what? I'll probably think about going something £1 million more and get rid of a few things. What do you want me to do? Just sit here and not say anything?
So what would you pay for that then?
I just think if you wanted to, I don't know, as an example, chuck in the...
You've not seen the red yet, have you?
Just chuck in the Speciale, the ST, and the RS6 or the F12. You know, no money changes hands and you have a comp.
Do you know, have you seen the registration?
We have to...
What do we?
You should see the red. Have you seen the red on
Let's
that?
have a look.
Can we see it?
Can we see it?
Yeah.
You'll like it.
All right, yeah, because it's a 63. Yeah, ST. And you've got the decals, 63 decals, yeah? Yeah, that's a nice... I like that spec in them cars.
Shore blue.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've got, what, 750 SV on the Aventador?
Yeah, soon to be 100 miles.
Oh, 27. No, I've seen...
99. Get up to 99.
I've seen you've got 27 law on a couple of cars.
Oh, what's the significance?
What's the significance with 27?
Oh, it's a good question.
Law?
27?
Law?
No. It's
Lawyer?
good. No.
Law?
No, it's a good
Yeah,
question.
what's 27 mean?
Yep. So, believe it or not, I played American football for England for 5 years as a running back,
Oh, wow.
and 27 was my number.
Oh, it's 27's your number. There you go.
I take it back, Carl.
Thank you very much, Rob.
Yeah.
Takes you a while to catch up, but you get there eventually. You used to play American football.
You used to play running back, yeah.
What's a running back?
The guy who holds a ball and just runs into people.
Oh shit! Really?
Running.
So you're not that big to do that though.
No, I used to be bigger.
But like you see this American football, I've never seen
giants.
humans like it.
Yeah, the
And when
giants.
you meet, I met a professional Miami Dolphins player in a bar in London a couple of years ago.
You are 5'6", though.
Yeah, but mate,
These guys are huge.
I've never seen, like, I know a lot of professional boxers very
Yeah.
well.
We know the same
And
people.
I get on with them really. I see them all the time. These American footballers are just different.
So running backs usually between 5'9", 5'11".
Gotta be quick.
Because the idea is to be explosive here.
Yeah.
There's two outcomes. You either get to where you are or get absolutely nailed.
Yeah.
Because you're running into a
Yeah,
320-pound, 6'7"
Yeah.
wall.
It's true.
You know?
Right. Final question.
Yes.
These 4 supercar brands, we ask everyone this.
Okay.
Rank them. I'll give you a little bit of time because I imagine you'll want some time. So you've got Porsche, Ferrari, Lamborghini, McLaren, and you're going to go 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, and explain why.
I think McLaren at 4, because I've never had one. So they don't appeal to me. They're great cars, but they don't just cross the appeal for me.
Why not?
I've had friends who've had some crappy experiences, and it's put me off.
Yeah.
I think a P1 with the right person would be exciting.
Yeah.
I looked at a P1 a year ago. I know my friends looked at a P1, but I couldn't find a P1 which had been loved.
Mm-hmm.
At 3, I think for Porsche, for me. No particular reason why. I think the answer to number 1's probably behind us. Ferrari, Lamborghini. And I'll tell you another reason why.
Okay, so which one was top? Lamborghini?
Yeah.
Why Lamborghini over Ferrari?
I'm actually surprised you said that.
Well, it was obvious McLaren was going to be 4th.
Yeah, I knew.
I
You know,
Yeah.
4th and 3rd were going to be McLaren,
Yeah.
Porsche.
Yeah.
But
I think because they're loud and unpredictable, which is like me. I think Ferrari.
But you're also quite controlled and calculated.
When I want to be, yeah.
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 do you advertise that on your webpage as a lawyer? Loud and unpredictable.
You know, my motto is fight to win. But when I need to be, like you can be, I know you can be, and part of my job is to sit here is to also watch you both. Spent 23, 24 years interrogation and cross-examination. I can understand you both, I think, sufficiently enough.
So what have you learned about us both then? And nothing's off the table. You can say
No,
what you
no.
want.
Yeah, you can just go
Say what
ahead.
you
No, I think it's for me, starting with you, you're obviously super measured. With your history, obviously, with the properties, you're not stupid. But I think with you, you're very fair. but you're fair to people who are fair to you. I think if someone doesn't like you, there's something wrong with them as opposed to you. I think you're very liberal, and I think what you say I like. I think with Carl comes from a huge family of not just car dealerships, but from someone who didn't go to school to be sat there. I think that's amazing, which means that you've had to focus on the goal, ignore all the noise, all the dog barking in the background, and to sit here doing that and having left school is incredible. I think all three of us in our own different ways have had something to prove. You told me about your school. You left school. Something happened with my dad. I think we've all got a big set of balls, and I think it's impossible to break us.
I totally agree.
This should be our new trailer.
No, but
I know.
I don't know
Thank you, by the way.
I don't know anyone who's at different levels of successes who have not had something happen, whether it's a loss, whether it was bullying, whether it was something to prove. Think of the 10 people you know, the best entrepreneurs you know. I guarantee you something has been a break in the line of causation. The same for you, same for me. One of my good friends is an owner of one of the biggest clothing brands you can really imagine in the sports world, and there were factors in his life early on which led to him being super successful.
Yeah.
When you use the terminology "something to prove," it can mean a lot, can't it? It can mean something to prove to yourself, or something to prove to other people, or even something to prove to one other person. And I think that is the fuel for success. And I think you can have all three in one go. You know, you can want to prove someone wrong who's doubted you, or there could be many people, but one person in particular. You need to prove yourself that I'm going to show that person I can do this, so I'm going to prove it to myself. So I think all them bases can come together, but I think something to prove is key. Otherwise, what's the point?
I couldn't agree more. I remember those days when I started, and it was a downstairs bedroom converted into a study in Redditch. And I remember thinking to myself, the only fear I had was failure and embarrassment, and I still have that now, the same fear of failure. And it's so healthy for me. Yeah, cash in cars and move on, but that fear of failure is a great fear. People panic about it, use it.
So why Lamborghini over for Ferrari then?
Yeah, so it's I think it comes down to education. I think if you sat here again next year, there'd probably be more Ferraris. Your podcast is about supercars and entrepreneurship, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know about cars. I think I have had to go through my own honeymoon period. Buy the
Not a bad little honeymoon period.
He's not bad at it, is it?
I mean, you've got the ultimate kudos. Not that you need it, you know what you're doing, but someone who knows cars inside out can see that you're picking really good cars. So I think you're being maybe a little bit humble.
No, it comes from advice from people.
But that's still smart. The smartest thing you can do is hang around smart people and take advice from them, surely.
Do you know, it's interesting. I like from today, apart from answering your questions, I believe that success comes from listening to experts. So if I sat with you, had a coffee and talk about property, if you offered that to me, why wouldn't I take it?
Yeah.
Same with cars. And for me, I just think that it's a phase I'm in with the Lamborghinis, because most of the people I know who have supercars have Ferraris. If you look around this unit, can you see any more Lamborghinis?
Mostly Ferraris.
Next door is more Ferraris than hot dinners.
Yeah.
There's no Lamborghinis, and that's not just to make a point, but I do think it's something I've always wanted. But going back to the earlier questions, I would buy more Ferraris. So I went to Fiorano for the first time 5 weeks ago. It's the first time I went to the Ferrari tour. I think it was a 296 driving around and stuff. I didn't particularly enjoy the 296, if I'm being honest. It's a great looking go-kart. But beyond that, I was asking questions to people at Ferrari, and Competizione came up, obviously, TDF, and when you're with the pro drivers, like what three Ferraris did you have? Competizione, TDF,
Right.
Speciales, 16Ms. So I know that I need to cast the net onto these.
Yeah.
But I need someone to help me, and that's why I speak to Charles. So that's why I do things on an informed basis.
Yeah.
But I knew enough about these to want them.
Yeah. Adam, this has been a great pleasure.
Thank you for having me,
Thank you
Carl.
very much.
Pleasure.
Honestly, Rob, it's a real privilege to be sat with you two
Thank you.
today. Honestly,
Thank you.